What's up, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Scott again. Tonight we are going to do a live Wizards Q&A session. We are at the halfway point of the season, so I'm going to answer a lot of your questions, most of it about the Wizards. I'm sure there's going to be a few personal, fun ones, so we're definitely ready to rock with you guys tonight. Next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Scott again. I'm rolling solo tonight with the Q&A. My guy, the real Ed Oliver, taking a night off, man. Much deserved night off. But he's definitely going to be rocking with us, watching the show in the comments section. So today what we're going to do, like I said, it is at the halfway point of the season. So I wanted to do a Q&A with you guys to celebrate Friday, celebrate the light at the end of the tunnel for this team. I get it. We're rebuilding. We haven't been very good, but the trade deadline is coming up. And then we're going to get to see these young guys eat in the second half of the season. So I'm very excited, nevertheless. So we're going to get into it. So let's go ahead and start it out tonight. Now, there are 5 questions on YouTube that I'm going to answer real quick, but I am going to answer everybody's questions, unless there's like thousands of them. It is what it is. But let's start it off. So I'm looking at 5 comments on the post on YouTube. Before we start, again, tonight's episode is actually brought to you by PrizePicks. The easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use code all lowercase LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100, y'all. So let's get into it. We got 5 questions on YouTube that I'm gonna answer real quick. So I definitely appreciate you guys with the questions and chopping it with me on a Friday night. TGIF, thank God Almighty, it is Friday. So the first question that I'm going to answer tonight, this comes from Nora, or at Nora6981. And the question is, can you go through the roster and tell us who you think could be a legitimate contributor to a good team in 3 years, ignoring trades just skill-wise? I mean, I guess looking at skill-wise and looking at contracts, I mean, that's pretty much an easy question right now. I mean, not looking at the future drafts and not looking at trades, like you said, 1, maybe 2 players. Okay, Bilal Coulibaly, absolutely. If you look at Bilal, man, I was big on the pick. Now, obviously, I was a fan of Cam Whitmore. He's from the area, but looking at the rebuild, man, and looking at a player that you could develop, Bilal Coulibaly, we definitely hit on that pick. Defensively, I definitely believe he's above average, if not elite level defender. Offensively, he's got ways to go. We definitely thought that he's going to need a lot of work, but he has progressed faster than I thought he would. Now, obviously, a 3-point shot. If you look at the last game in Madison Square Garden against the Knicks, he was open a few times and they paid him no attention. So they know that a lot of teams know, and obviously the Wizards know that his 3-point shot is coming along, but it's not respectable right now. You know, teams aren't fearing that shot, and quite often they're going to leave him wide open. So he's got to work on that 3-point shot. He needs to work on dribbling, definitely keeping his dribble low. He gets a little high sometimes. Definitely he can drive aggressively, but control aggressive drives, right? Obviously the athleticism is there. You know, he can roll through the rim, he can cut, he can drive, he can dunk. Just working on the certain areas of his offensive game. So I think in 3 years he will be ready to roll, and I think he'll be developed enough to where as a 3-and-D now, the list. I mean, right now he is still growing. Now, could he be a really tall 2 guard? I could see that, but maybe on the wing. But I definitely see him as a 3-and-D player in the future, and definitely part of the foundation being built upon going into the trade deadline. So Denny Avdija could be number 2, but you know, he just signed a 4-year extension. So in 3 years, depending on how he performs, if he performs way above expectations, and I'm not low on Denny. I believe that Denny can be a really good starter in the NBA. A lot of hype coming in. I definitely think he is a contributor to any team in the NBA. Right now it remains to be seen whether he's going to be a star or, you know, an all-star. You know, I think he's going to be a really good serviceable, excuse me, y'all, a really good average NBA starter. You know, obviously, kind of like Bilal, his offensive game is being polished as we speak. You know, he's worked on it, but in his defense, definitely above average. Elite, not like he used to be, but there's a lot going on this year, so I'm not going to put that on Denny. So Denny could be a piece going forward 3 years from now, if you look at it, you sign a 4-year contract, so he'll be on an expiring deal by year 3 or the year after that. So he could be a piece, but we'll see, because he definitely has a contract that is very, very tradable. So definitely appreciate the question. Numeral uno dos. Let's see, 757 for life ever. If you were the coach of this team, what changes would you make? Trades, roster construction, etc. Good question, man. Definitely shout out to at 757 for life. Actually, my oldest daughter she's from Hampton, so definitely know rock with y'all on the 757. If I were the coach, what changes? Well, I mean, as far as a coach, man, looking at the front office, as far as personnel, they're gonna make most of the decisions. But I kind of see where you're going with it. I mean, me personally, if I was West Central Junior, if I was just me coaching, you gotta push space. I mean, whether the next point guard has to be a point guard who can push space. If you look at the Wizards, they've been most successful when they've had a point guard who could push pace. John Wall. I mean, Gilbert Arenas was rock with Gilbert Arenas first. He could push the pace. They had a scorer's mentality. John Wall, not so much of a scorer's mentality, but had that vision as a passer. He pushed the pace. Looking at 1 year Russell Westbrook. Bradley Beal, career high in points. Rui Hachimura had a good year. Denny kind of looked decent in his rookie year because he played with a point guard who pushed the pace and was able to catch defenses off balance, which since then, Spencer Dinwiddie, Monte Morris, and Tyus Jones, I hate to say that, but all three haven't really pushed the pace where I think they need to push it. So, trades, getting back to the question, I mean, I would kind of go down the path they're going down now. Trade these veterans. I mean, to me, everybody in the roster is a tradable asset. But realistically, I mean, to me, I think Kyle Kuzma, his value ain't going to be any higher than this now. Now, you can look at other factors, but if you look at his age, yes, the contract goes down, but his age, and he's having a good year. Now, we all know that he's struggling overall. And, that he's not exempt from that. He is definitely struggling on the defensive end, and, he's too reliant on his jump shot. Efficiency has been an issue, but he has been a leader, and I'll give him that. But I definitely think he can contribute on a contender. So the guys I see being moved at deadline would definitely be Kyle Kuzma, Tyus Jones. Landry Shamet is gone. DeLon Wright, we'll see. I could see 50-50. He could be moved. He could be here. He's expiring contract, so come back for an injury. Has he shown enough to be an asset? We'll see, but he could be moved. So I would definitely go along the lines of what they're doing now. Definitely trade a lot of the veteran contracts, expiring contracts. Now, who would I keep? Corey Kispert, you need a shooter. I definitely think that if it's affordable next year, definitely look at an extension for Corey Kispert. Johnny Davis, I think he gone. I think his time in DC is over. Denny, obviously, is going to be around for at least 2 to 3 years, just signing a contract extension. And obviously, Bilal. So I'll roll with what we're doing. Build through the draft. I'm going to use, and I hate to switch sports on everybody, but I'm going to use the words of Adam Peters, the new general manager of the Washington Commanders. Build through the draft, supplement through free agency. Like I said, this draft class coming up is high on development players. Now, you're not going to find a lot of players in this draft that can contribute right away, but this is development on the draft. So I definitely think they need to add another first-round pick. And there's a lot of names. I know a lot of you want Alex Sarr. I'm with you. I think we definitely need to look at center going forward, even though you got Bagley. We'll see, because Bagley can play the 4. And Gaff, if he's moved, you definitely need the center in the future. And if he's not, you got a backup center, and you can still go out there and get an Alex Sarr or a Bradshaw. But Dillingham, man, out of the University of Kentucky, is a guy I'm looking at. But there's a lot of guys in this draft that I'm very high on, because there's a lot of development in players, man. So that's what I would do, man. I would go the current route, build through the draft, continue to give extended minutes to these young cornerstone guys, Bilal, Denny. I definitely want to see what they can do in the lineup together. And Kispert, you need to shoot off the bench. I don't think that Kispert is a starter. I think he's definitely a scoring punch off the bench going forward. So let's get into it. We got 3 more, and then I'm definitely gonna get out. We see I got 6 comments in this comment section. So hey, man, we got 30 people in here. Definitely appreciate you guys rocking with me, man. I want to do a Q&A, kind of chop it up with you guys, man. You guys have been really dope this year. Rocking with me and my boy Ed, man, and it's a hard year, man, but definitely appreciate you guys. Our channel's growing and the views are going, man, and it's because of you guys, man. So Q&A to kind of get to know each other, man. Like I said, most of your questions should be Wizards based, but if you got a few personal, man, let's keep it respectable. But definitely I'm game for that too. So getting back to sweat on my lip. Getting back to the YouTube questions real quick. This is from @vlogger. How you doing tonight? What roster in the past 5 years have been your favorite to watch? And I don't know if this is, I mean, there's been many of them, man. Lord have mercy, in the last 5, but I guess the funnest, man, was 2020 to 2021. Russell Westbrook. The Wizards allowed him to kind of play his own game, which the Lakers didn't. We saw the fallout of that. He was able to be that guy he wanted to be, and average a triple-double. That was really dope to watch. He got the most out of Bradley Beal. I believe he averaged 31 points. That was his career high. So, Rui Hachimura, he played well with him. He got a lot out of Gaff, utilizing him as a rim runner and a lob threat. He taught a lot to Denny, so I thought that was the funnest team. Now, obviously, they had a lot of spare part players, no disrespect to anybody, but it wasn't a team that was ready to compete, but they were definitely fun to watch. So in the last 5 years, it would be the 2020-2021 season. So definitely appreciate your question. This is at Abel and Broshio. Hey, what's up, homie? How you doing? Who are some key names that are mentioned at the trade deadline that you would want the Wizards to trade for? Man, that is a good question. And right now, the front office officially just put out a memo to pretty much saying that they're ready to take on bad contracts for trade draft assets and young players in return. So there's only a few right now, even though there could be more. I know one name's been out there is Evan Fournier from the Knicks. Maybe maybe we take on his contract, get our first round pick back. Maybe we'll see, because I know that with Mitchell Robinson out for the year, they're going to need a replacement. Daniel Gafford has been named as a guy who could potentially go to the Knicks to be that replacement for a playoff run for the Knicks. So we'll see. Evan Fournier would be a bad contract that I wouldn't mind taking on. A few more. One, I know a lot of y'all gonna be like, man, you tripping tonight. Check Brandon's cup. Ben Simmons. That is definitely a bad contract. Obviously we know Ben Simmons has his trajectory has gone down since passing an open dunk because he's scared of the free throw line. So, and he's just haven't been the same player. Back issues, is being hated by an entire city or two. Could that be a bad contract that we could pick up for picks? I could see that, but there's a few names out there, but I think that's the best course. That looking at deadline, man, they're going to try to, to get young players, which I feel with the Detroit Pistons trade, they did a good job. Bagley obviously was a bad contract, so that's why they gave us 2 second-round picks. So that would be a couple options to me, but we're going to get in to a couple more questions on YouTube, and then we're going to get into questions on here. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. So our partners at eBay Motors has teamed up with Locked On Fantasy Basketball host Josh Lloyd to bring you some of the best fantasy picks each week all season long, whether you're prepping for a daily draft or scouting the waiver wire, which is what I'm doing right now. Every week, we're going to provide you with players that are guaranteed to fit on your roster. So let's see what picks Josh has for us this week on eBay Guaranteed Fit Fantasy Picks of the Week. So I'm going to give you 5 of his picks, but which one I'm rocking with is going to be the one I'm kind of going to go in. Gigi Jackson of the Memphis Grizzlies, Mason Plumlee, Aaron Nesmith, Jabari Walker, and Marvin Bagley III. And obviously with the new Wizard and the really good game he had at Madison Square Garden, I'm going to rock with Marvin Bagley Jr., or not Jr., but the third. With Daniel Gafford in the concussion protocol, hopefully, definitely shout out to my man Gaff. Bagley has a shot at nice numbers on a new team for the short term. So look, if your team is struggling with points, which he can definitely provide interior points for the Wizards, rebounds, if you're looking for a rebound boost, definitely rock with Marvin Bagley III. That would be my shot. You can say that for a few guys. Jabari Walker is another candidate. If you're looking for a bit of a flyer, Walker started next to Jeremy Grant Wednesday and had a shot at big late season value as well. So if you're looking at a boost at points and rebounds, definitely rock with Jabari Walker or Marvin Bagley III. It's going to be interesting to see what the fit is with Marvin Bagley III with Daniel Gafford coming back. Will he be at the 4? After the deadline, that is. Obviously, Kuz is at the 4, but will he start? We'll see. So his true value lies in where Daniel Gafford fits in coming back from injury. So that would be my recommendation for you guys. So Josh Lloyd from Locked On Fantasy Basketball is going to help you win your fantasy championship. And eBay Motors knows the championship team is about each player being a perfect fit. Same with your vehicle. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you can make sure your ride stays running smoothly. Brake kits, LED headlights, roof rack bumpers, and whatever your baby needs, eBay Motors has it. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or your money back. I'm trying to tell you. Plus, at these prices, you're burning rubber, not cash. Just saying. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. eBay guaranteed fit, only available to U.S. customers, eligible items only. Exclusions apply, y'all. And Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the legendary experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. So Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. I definitely recommend that, y'all. So we got a couple more on the YouTube side, and then we're gonna roll. I'm sweating on my lip. That ain't snot, so definitely roll with me, man. It's hot up in my house right now. But it's cold outside, so you got to do what you got to do. All right, the last one on YouTube at Mikey Dubs 49. How you doing tonight, man? Has Kuzma checked out? Great question, and that is officially a yes. It's like I said earlier, man. Kuz has been that one leader. A lot of things unfold when it comes to this team. You know, Jordan Poole. I was very high on Jordan Poole coming over from Golden State, but he's had his issues when there's. Some people say maturity. I'm a somewhat agree with that, but I'm also going to say acclimating to a new environment. You know, coming over from Golden State, being a young player, where a lot of these shenanigans that that are driving people crazy was kind of hidden behind the leadership of Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green, that is. So now that he's the guy, or he's the 1-2 punch in the face right now, a lot of these issues are in your face, right? So I think that there's a lot of frustration with that. There's a frustration with being a veteran guy who wants to win on a rebuilding team. Obviously he signed a contract that was a really team-friendly contract. But look, anybody, including himself, was surprised at him being shopped around. I mean, I don't get that. The whole MO was that it was a team-friendly deal because eventually he's going to be flipped. So has he checked out? Yeah, I think a lot of the veterans, if not most of the veterans, are checked out, man. A lot of the veterans are waiting to see if they're moved. And a lot of the young guys are waiting for the deadline to happen so they can get extended minutes and truly start this rebuild. Bilal, Denny, Kispert, seeing what you have a lot of these young guys, you're looking at also Patrick Baldwin Jr. You're looking at Isaiah Livers. You're looking at Marvin Bagley. There's going to be evaluation time after the deadline. So appreciate on the YouTube side. Appreciate you guys. Definitely appreciate the questions and chopping it with your boys. So let's get into some of the questions here on the stream. And again, I appreciate you guys, man. Rocking with me. It's Friday night, man. There's liquor looking at me right now. It's telling me to hurry up, but nah, man. We're gonna chill tonight and we're gonna chop it up. So this is Wiz Kid Forever. Looking at what we have now. What, in your opinion, do you need to become a legitimate contender, and how long will it take to get there? I mean, honestly, to me, my dream job is GM. I've always been, I love sports. I love watching games, man. But to me, I've always had like a GM. It's kind of like a producer. Like when you look at music, some people, they look at the words. Some people look at the beats. Growing up, I was a producer. I liked beats. When people, they look at the MCs, I'm looking at the producer, the beats. So I'm a GM guy. I like trade deadline. I like the draft. I like off season, but I like the game. So you see what I'm saying? So realistically, to me, it's going to be a 3-year rebuild at a minimum. Now, what would kind of expedite that? Easy. If they truly indeed move to Virginia, then, obviously new economic developments arise with moving to Virginia. They got to start making money. If they move to Virginia, they got to put a winning product on the floor. So I can see 3 years. If they stay in DC, and I hate to say that because regardless of where they're at, the fans deserve a winner on the floor. But I'm just being real with you. Economics do have a place. So I'm just being 100 with you. If they move to Virginia, that's more of a reason for them to have a winner on the floor as opposed to staying where they're at, where, unfortunately, you should want to win it regardless. But I see 3 years to kind of answer your question. Now, what do they need to do? I look at it as a 3 to 5 year process, right? First 3 years, man, you're building through the draft. And then you fill in the spaces with, free agency, where there's like not guys that are really going to change the trajectory just to kind of fill in spaces. And then the priority is developing young talent. So example, best case scenario, hypothetically, we go in, we get 2 first-round picks in this draft, pick up a point guard in the center, whether it's Dillingham in Kentucky or Sarr. Your biggest priority those next 3 years is building through the draft. Obviously, Cooper Flag draft's coming up. You want to be obviously bad, but you also want to see certain milestones as far as your system, your culture. You want to see these guys playing hard, trying to win. That's what me and E kind of stresses here, playing to win. So that's what you want to see. There right now, it's the foundational part of the rebuild. You want to establish things like culture, so we'll see. Building through the draft is what I see. Year 4 is where you want to make that trade or that free agent acquisition, that final push. Donovan Mitchell for Cleveland. That was their final move to kind of put them where they need to be. Whereas, up to that point, they kind of built through the draft and a little bit through trade. Jared Allen was a trade, but Mobley was a draft pick. Garland, draft pick. Okoro, draft pick. So the list goes on. You want to build through the draft, and then when it's time to make that move for a playoff run or contention, then you go through draft through free agency or the trade pool. So that's what I see, man. 3 years at a minimum. I can definitely see 3 to 4 years until we hit contender status, but build through the draft. Coaching is important. Scouting is important. We have that front office. So that's what I would say, man. So like I said, we have a lot of good comments tonight. I'm going to hit all y'all up, man. So before we do, tonight's episode, and let me hit this up real quick, is brought to you by PrizePicks. So what you're probably asking yourself, what is PrizePicks? Well, it is actually the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. We're the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 players' stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. So, with the basketball season here, you can now pick combo projections across football and basketball from the Specials League, a league created specifically for combo projections that includes 2 more players from different sports or leagues. For example, LeBron James plus Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift at a 10.5 combo of 3 points made plus receptions. Man, you got to take that, right? So, you want to play alongside some of PrizePicks' favorite players like rapper Meek Mill and comedian Andrew Schultz? You can do that. And the community's plays under the promos tabs of the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in the PrizePicks community each week. PrizePicks even offers a reboot policy so that your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. For football and basketball games, if you have a player who exits the game in the first half and does not return in the second, that player is rebooted. PrizePicks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with an injury insurance policy, which is big for me, y'all. I'm trying to tell you. So, all y'all had to do is go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use promo code LockedOnNBA for our first deposit match up to $100. And again, all you got to do is go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use promo code LockedOnNBA for our first deposit match up to a C note. So let's get into it. Let's knock these out. Boop. All right, here we go. All right, next up on the agenda tonight, Alexander says Bagley is so athletic. Yes, at the center position, he is very athletic, man. I saw that. I mean, like I said, I've been a fan. I watched him in college. I watched him a little bit in Sacramento, not so much in Detroit. But, seeing him in Madison Square Garden, he is very athletic. Driving the lane, dunking, be able to create his own shot interior. His defense was better than I thought it was going to be. Obviously, a lot of from what I've gathered, man, as far as Bagley, it's always been an effort thing. A lot of Detroit Pistons people are saying, give him 20 games and the efforts will be out there. But I'm hoping that a change of scenery will light something in him because when he's motivated, you see what he can do. He had a great game against the New York Knicks. And again, and the Knicks are a playoff contending team. Now, are they a favorite in the East? I don't think so. But they are definitely a team that's trying to make things interesting in the Eastern Conference. So very athletic. I love what I saw from him. Edward Moore, what's up, man? I see Kuzma could be traded as well as Tyus, but also say that tripping tonight. But I also see that they would like to re-sign Tyus. I saw that too. And there's no rush to trade Kuz because of his contract. What are your projections? Very interesting to hear the re-signing of Tyus. Very interesting. But am I surprised? No, because he's shown that he can be a floor general. I think they're going to try to do what the Nationals should have did with Bryce Harper, which you see this more in baseball than you do in basketball. Trading an asset to get assets back and then re-signing him, which was what they said they wanted to do as far as Bryce Harper. There was a trade in place for the Houston Astros, and it failed, and then eventually he went to the Phillies anyway. So, but could they flip him for assets and then re-sign him? It's possible because it's a rebuild. So right now, you just need a guy who can hold the ship down at point guard, and he can do that. But I think that, do they look at it, even if you go to the draft and you get a Dillingham or you go get Isaiah Collier, his stock is really going down because USC is not looking good right now. But looking at him and a few other people, could they sit behind a guy like Tyus Jones? Yeah, absolutely. I can see that. So it's 50-50 right now because right now, Kuzma, his value is at all-time high. And I think that right now is the time to flip him. I like Kuzma. I think he's had a really good impact at being that leader. But then you do see him being checked out. There's a lot of turmoil in DC right now. So I think he's checked out. I think that you move him because his value is high right now. He's averaging 20 plus. You got to get value for Kuz. Tyus, I can see value. I mean, he has shown that he's always been known as probably one of the best backup point guards, but he has done his thing being a starter this year. His assist numbers are up. I mean, you definitely see him being that floor general that this team needs. So I could see both scenarios. I could see them trading Tyus Jones and Kyle Kuzma. I could see them retaining Kuzma for at least another year. Tyus, I could see them maybe flipping him for assets and maybe re-signing him. I could see that too. So I think the thing that everybody needs to realize with the Wizards is that we have options. We haven't always had options, and that is a great position to be in, having options. So, hey, man, Edward, appreciate the question, man. This comes from Yanni Halevi. How you doing tonight, man? Hey, Brandon, do you think the Wizards should keep Denny to be a cornerstone? For right now, yeah. I definitely think, excuse me, man, I don't know why I sweat on my lip. I definitely think he's part of the foundation. Denny has evolved. He has developed. Now, obviously his offensive game does need work, but he has taken steps towards that. 3-point shot, little respect on it, but still people aren't fearing that shot yet. He is driving the lane aggressively. The vision is there as a passer, so I definitely want to see the ball in his hands more. The defense, again, he is definitely an above average defender. Last year and the year prior, he was an elite defender. Kind of took a step back, but I think that has a lot more to do with philosophy and a lot of the issues they have in the defensive end. So I still think he's a really, really above average defender in this league who can get back to elite status. So yes, I do see him as a cornerstone with Bilal right now. But if you look at his contract, man, 3 years from now, he could be a tradable asset. But I think right now, yeah, absolutely. See what you have. See how far you can push him. See how good he can become. He's still developing. So, with us being a rebuilding team and being trash, I mean, let's be real. We'll have nothing but time to develop him further and see what we have in him, man. So, yeah, absolutely, I do. Fred Fezzo says, so if Jones or Shaman have outstanding seasons, do you still trade them? Yes. They don't fit the timeline. And I get it. I get what you're saying, man. And I definitely appreciate the question. I like Tyus, man. I like Shaman. But it's rebuild, man. You see what you get for them and you flip them. Like I said, there was a report that they are considering re-signing Tyus. So, like I said, I brought a baseball, but that would be a scenario where I see they could flip him for assets and bring him back. I could see that because he would be a perfect guy to groom the next point guard of the future. So I definitely think that would be a good move. So appreciate the question. Another question from Yanni Halevi. Hey, Brandon, what's the best you can get on Kuz? Siakam got 3 first rounders. Kuz is as good as him. And on a personal note, Denny and Bilal with the players who want to defend, they will lock down anyone. Yes, I agree. Getting into the first part, I'll say this. I like Kuz, but I Siakam's the better player. And the reason for that, defense and intensity. Kuzma has evolved as a player, and he has really become a complete player since he's come to Washington, but the defense is what gets him. The consistency on the boards is what gets him. Siakam's a guy that you guarantee you can probably get 10 boards a night. The defense is there, in the 3 first rounders. Yeah, I think that is, I mean, I don't know. It's weird because I've been an NBA fan my whole life, man. And you went from, superstars where it took 3 first rounders to now Gobert, which it depends on how much you put a priority on defense and no offense. But the Rudy Gobert trade just changed everything. So 3 first rounders, I mean, you did 5 to 10 years ago, you wouldn't have got 3 first rounders for Siakam. And there's no shade on Siakam, but realistically, I could see us getting 1 first round pick for Kuzma. Now, could get 2. I know their asking price right now is 2. Depending on the situation and the fit, you could see 2. But I think that you plan for the obvious, and then if you get surprised, like, whoa, you got 2. But I'm gonna roll with 1 right now, man. And you could maybe get a 1 for Tyus, but Tyus, I'm probably looking at more maybe second rounders and a young player or 2 back. But even then, could we kind of overvalue, Tyus a little bit? You might get a young player back and a second rounder, but I don't want us to overvalue our guys either. And I just don't see 2 first rounders. I see 1 first rounder, but you never know, man, for Kuz. Sheldon T, what's good? Next Commanders head coach, in your opinion, also next Wizards coach. Put me on the spot. I love it. Next Commanders head coach, Ben Johnson. Easy. Now, I would not be surprised, y'all. There are a couple names I'm going to throw out there that could be sneakers if Ben Johnson and his expected salary is not met, which I expect it will be. And I'm betting Ben Johnson, man. But Raheem Morris, man. Raheem Morris has not got a lot of buzz, and I think he should because he's got the championship pedigree. He's got some rings, man, and he could be a sneaker. Also, I mean, Dan Quinn, I know, a lot of you Commanders fans don't want to hear that, especially with him coming over from Dallas, but he has head coaching experience. So I wouldn't be surprised by those two if there was a breakdown with Ben Johnson, but I'm rolling Ben Johnson. Wizards is interesting, man, because what truly, how long is the rope that this organization is going to give Wes? They enacted his fourth year option, and like I said, this is being an analyst, man, especially when you kind of step the game up to where you in the face of a lot of these coaches and players, man, you see the personal side of you, right? So, I mean, Wes is a likable guy, but as a coach, man, I get it, the whole name involved with the franchise and that, but I'm looking at this, man, and I'm being 100 about it. The defense hasn't gotten better, and that's his MO. You continue to see issues on the court, bickering between players. You need to see some things change at head coach if he wants to retain his job. He's got to take control of his locker room, man. He's got to take control of his locker room, in my opinion. But who could potentially replace him? That's hard, man, because we tried an assistant coach approach with Wes. If Wes doesn't succeed, then I think we need to go out there like the Pistons. I would have did the same thing the Pistons did with Monty Williams. You aim high at the head coach, thinking because there are issues. I don't know the talent they have in the roster in Detroit, man. So we'll see. I think you go out there and you get a coach with playoff experience, like a Monty Williams. I think that's the best route for this team going forward and building a culture. Who established the Heat culture? Pat Riley and Spoelstra. The coaches, and that's what culture. That's why it's big having the right pieces in place, especially when it comes to the front office and head coach, because establishing that culture. Heat culture is something that's renowned, and so we need to get a culture in DC where it solidifies and exemplifies hard work, playing hard, representing yourself in an organization on and off the court. So culture is a big thing. So we'll see. I definitely think that it should not be an assistant coach approach. It needs to be a guy who has playoff experience. But appreciate the question, man. Isidoro, what's your take on Denny as a full-time point guard? Bringing the ball up and doing a point forward approach, I can see. Full-time, no. He has ways. I mean, his vision is on point. I'll give you that. Good vision. But full-time, nah. I could definitely see the point forward approach with him. Alternate with the point guard and him bringing the ball up. I definitely think you need to put the ball in his hands a lot more, not full-time. Definitely appreciate your question tonight. Crystal Scott. Oh, I know you. What do you think of our two new Wizards? I'm intrigued. I haven't said that word in a while. I'm intrigued. Bagley, I think he can definitely cure a lot of ailments we have as far as the interior defense, interior scoring, rebounding. And Isaiah Livers, man, I wouldn't count him out. We have a lot of control over him as far as his future, as far as contract. If we, at the end of the year, he could be a restricted free agent. So if he evolves his game, which I think they should definitely try to see what he can do in the second half of the year, I'm very intrigued. There are a couple of nice young pieces where, even though it feels like Bagley's been in the league forever, he's still at an age where he's part of the timeline. So we'll see. With his contract being up after next season, we'll see. I see, we'll see. They have a lot more control over the future of these two players. So I like both of them, man. I'm really intrigued to see what they can do going forward. XD, Zayla, I'm probably jacking that up. My bad. Zayla Fafina. Forgive me, man. Poole, Bilal, Ron Holland, Denny, Bagley. I can see that. But I think that, with Bagley, next year would be the only time you see him at center. You still got to go out there and get the center of the future. So, yeah. Holland, yeah, I can see that. I mean, he would be good on the wing. But honestly, man, I would prioritize center, and they may even point guard. Honestly, because Ron Holland, I think he could be successful in DC. But I think a lineup with Poole, Bilal, Denny, maybe Bagley and Sarr would fit better after the draft, man. But hey, man, sorry for butchering the name. I usually get it, man. But definitely appreciate the question. Let's see. Gadget unboxing. Do you think we can trade Kuzma for Levine? I wouldn't, man. That contract, I get it. We're trying to take on bad contracts, but Levine's is a monster. I would not take on his contract. But appreciate the question, man. Izzy Polycarp. What's up? Hey, Brandon, what's good? Another one from unboxing or DeRozan, maybe. I can see. I think at that point, man, the player has a lot more power over where he goes, and I think that DeRozan is going to want to go to an LA team. I can see the Lakers, even though everybody's trying to make the Lakers better every year for some reason. I see the Clippers. I can see other options, man, that are a lot more enticing for DeRozan, man. Of course, Scott again. What are your predictions for the Spurs game? By the way, I will be at the Spurs. I actually will be covering the team for the Spurs game and the T-Wolves game, man. So definitely we'll get footage of the press conferences, shoot around, and definitely there's a good chance that not tomorrow night, but for Wednesday night's game against T-Wolves, me and E or myself, I will be doing Locked On Wizards with E from Capital One. So definitely look out for that. But predictions, I expect it to be a win. I mean, Spurs they're not that good, but I'm very intrigued to see Wembanyama, man. I think he's gonna eat. Man, I'm very excited to see him. But I would say this, man. I thought that we could beat the Pistons. So I just expectations right now are just all over the place, man. I don't know what to expect. I think it's gonna be a close game. And it's gonna be a very exciting game to see, Bilal versus Wemby, because they were teammates in France. So it's definitely, I think it's gonna be the wow factor more than the score factor. Izzy, again, do you know if Dan playing tomorrow? Dan. I'm having a brain for Dan. I guess Gaff. I guess if you mean Gaff, yeah. Concussion protocol is shaky. I mean, the NBA is a little different than the NFL. So hopefully we can, I think going against Wemby, man, I think Gaff's probably the better matchup. I mean, really, you're not, Wemby is his size and his talent, man. Are you really going to stop the guy? But I mean, I think Gaff gives us a better chance. Bagley 6'10", we'll see. But I think it's going to be interesting. So let's see. This is from Big E. What's your thoughts on Bagley and Gafford being essentially the same size and having to defend those much bigger and heavier centers? I mean, it's one of those things you got to do what you got to do right now. It's a rebuild. We're still shifting a lot of the pieces. You got to do what you got to do. But obviously, honestly, Gafford and Bagley, they struggle against bigger centers. So, realistically, and then, in the future, you want to try to get it. I'm not saying that every center needs to be 7 foot, but you want to see a guy that physically is a little athletic, which, and I'm a big fan of Bagley and Gaff, man. But, long term, I'm big on Sar. And, a 7-footer who's athletic, I think, and who can defend, who his offensive side is growing. That's a guy that I think we need, man. Gaff, I think that if he's here long term, a backup center is where he needs to be. Nothing against Gaff, but you need to be who you are, right? And we've seen him as a starter, and we've seen him as a backup, and he's more successful as a starter, or oh my lord, as a backup. Even though he did play well with Russell Westbrook, but he's limited, man, offensively, and he has to be. And I hate to say this, spoon fed. So, yeah, I mean, right now it is what it is, but obviously I see some changes in the future of the position. You got to. We got a lot of good comments tonight. Kenneth said, seeing what the Raptors did with OG and Siakam, which one of those trades do you see more likely the Wizards would do for Kuz if he were to get traded? I mean, honestly, with Kuz, man, I can see one first round pick, a young player, and maybe an inspiring contract. I think to a certain degree, and I'm being 100 with you guys, I think we can tend to overvalue our guys, man. And I think we're overvaluing. And look, Kuz has definitely been the leader here, obviously the best player on the team, but he's a third or fourth option on a contender. And he's going to get third or fourth option on contender prices. So I can see a first round pick. His contract is very team friendly, so that's going to be a boost for us. So I can see a first round pick, a young player, an inspiring contract. Edward Moore, again, Pascal and Kuz, you got the same not only averages in points, rebounds, and assists, but all around Pascal is a better player. Good point. Very good point. And look, I agree. That is one factor I did not take into account, the talent around him. But I mean, defensively, he is a better player. But you are absolutely correct, man. And points, rebounds, and assists, they are definitely similar players. So hey, man, look, changed my mind. Stuart of Florida, who can give up the most draft picks for Kuzma? They have to need him, want him, and have the number ones to get him. That's hard, man. That is hard because who's really going to be the type of teams who are going to be in a position to get Kuz? It's going to be a contending team. And so most contending teams right now, they're already short on picks. And there's a few mid-level teams right now that are hurting picks. If you look at the Atlanta Hawks, they're thinking about blowing it up, man, because they're out of picks. So, realistically, it's hard. I see most teams can only afford one pick. And, do you need him? He could definitely give you a scoring punch off the bench. or he can definitely be, depending on the situation, definitely start and provide rebounds and assists and points. But I think a lot of it has to do with fit. But I don't see multiple first round picks. I just don't see it, man. Diablo says the next Wizards coach, Juwan Howard. Yes, I agree. I agree on that. Juwan Howard definitely needs to be in consideration. Absolutely. I know that Wizard of Oz and Bullets Forever, they both did articles about it. I agree with that. He's got connections to the organization. Absolutely. I would definitely, if Wes Unseld is no longer the coach, I would definitely recommend them go look at Juwan Howard of the University of Michigan. Obviously the Michigan ties with Jordan Poole and Isaiah Livers, and his personal connection to the Washington Wizards. So I definitely agree with that. Izzy says, what do you think of Eric Bieniemy as head coach? I need to see what he can do as a coordinator. He had a very up and down year last year as a coordinator. I think there are teams that are looking at him to be a head coach, but me personally, I need to see more before I make that move. But I am a fan of EB, man. It's just I think he needs to use the talent he has around him and not use his philosophy he had in Kansas City. Two different setups as far as talent, man. Let's see. Izzy again for Commanders. Yeah. Wiz Kids Forever. Was that your wife, Crystal? That is my wifey Pooh. Yes, she is. So y'all be easy on her in the comments section. So because originally she is a Hornets fan, but we'll let her off from that one. Let's see. Cameron Mingo, what's up, brother? Which Wizards do you consider being safe come the trade deadline? Oh, I think Bilal, maybe even Denny. I like to say Kispert would be the only three. I think everybody's tradable. I think Gaff has shown enough that in the right system, in the right location, he can succeed. The Knicks are one team. I think everybody else, you definitely have to be. Now, Poole, I will say this about Poole, man. And I know it's been an up and down experience with Poole, but I see his value being down. I don't see him being moved. Maybe he wows us after the deadline, and we go back to saying, "Ooh, he may be a cornerstone." But I think he's retained now because he just doesn't have a lot of value right now. But I think that I want to see Jordan Poole eat in the second half and re-solidify himself as a rising star in the NBA. I do believe in Jordan Poole. I mean, there's things that need to change, but he has talent. He hasn't hit his prime yet, and you know what? He's definitely still a rising star in my opinion. It's just we'll see. Diablo said Poole, Bill. Bilal, my bad. Denny Bagley, sorry. Yep. Yes, sir. I would roll with that. He said, Gafford, got you. Armand, I'd like to give my most improved podcast award to Brandon. He hasn't used. Okay. I appreciate that, man. Hey, look, honestly, man, look, shout out to my man Ed. He brought me on, man. Initially, this is my second season with Locked On Wizards, man, and it's been fun. And I appreciate you guys who really seen me evolve. I've been developing too, man. Coming into Locked On Wizards from a guy who had microphone issues to using repetitive words, really finding who he is as a analyst, as a podcaster, and yeah, I see big changes myself. I know you guys do, and has a lot has to do with Ed, my road dog Ed, a lot to do with my wife who keeps pushing me and saying, look, you can get better. Because I'm very, very big critic of myself. And you guys, man, you guys and your support, your fanage, man, appreciate you guys, man. A lot of my success and a lot of me doing other things like covering the team as far as media credentials, stuff like that, has to do with you guys, man. So, man, shout out to you guys. Definitely to my guy, Ed, man, and my wifey, Pooh. We got a few more questions in. We're going to roll tonight. Diablo is back at it. Draft Sar, 3 big, rotation Bagley, Gaff, and Sar start. Ooh, I don't know, man. 3 bigs, man. I don't know, man. In that scenario, 3 bigs, man, I would definitely say that Gaff is your backup, Sar is your starter. I don't know. First year, after drafting Sar, I would definitely bring him off the bench. Nah. What am I talking about? No, start in a rebuild. You want to start Sar. So right now, we all know that Gaff's a backup. So I would definitely back up. Gaff would be backup. Sar would start, and Bagley could be at the 4, depending if we move Kuz. So yeah, I'm with you. I definitely think we'd be hooked. I mean, overall, we're cooking with hot grease with those 3 in the rotation. So I'm with you, man. Those 3, we will definitely be cooking like a Air fryer, man. Izzy said I meant Gafford for the. I don't know, man. It's all good. Autocorrect ain't always correct, right? It's all good, man. Edward Moore says, okay, he's the only one with a lot of picks that I think. Oh, yes, you are right. Okay, that is perfect. Edward Moore, you on money tonight, man. You take a beer on me tonight, man. You know, I mean, you are on the money. I mean, yeah, OKC could use, in my opinion, Kuz, on a playoff run because OKC, man, for watching them in person, Holmgren and SGA and Dort and Williams. And I mean, the list goes on. I mean, Josh Giddey, depending on how you feel about Giddey in this situation, I'm not going to get into that, but they were something to watch, man. Diablo again, Coach Livers wanted Poole to return to Michigan. I think that I'll say this, man. I think that them acquiring Livers is going to be a big impact on making Jordan Poole a lot more comfortable. Like I said, I think his struggles in DC have a lot more to do. I mean, obviously, showboating sometimes, ill-advised shots, but he's still young and the talent is there. And I think Isaiah Livers, them being roommates and have that familiarity is going to help him be a lot more comfortable in the DMV. And who knows, man? I'm just saying, give him a little bit of time. Give him to the second half of this year. Maybe next year, and we'll see because he hasn't his prime yet, and we'll see. I think a lot of factors, him being comfortable, him buying into the system, him buying into his situation in DC, a lot of factors. So this appears to be the last one of the night, man. From Leo Digger. Hey guys, do you think the Wizards are working on another trade? They're working on a lot of trades. They're going to be very active going to the deadline, man. Very, very active. So definitely look out, and definitely we will be the ones that let you guys know what trades go down, and we will recap and react to them. Oh, we got one more before we roll tonight. Oh, two more. Let's make it real fast, man. We are at 46 minutes. Everyone more said, forgot to mention the connection of Will Dawkins, but if Sam is a Lynn Will hand, we'll see two first. Look, if you look at the Commanders, man, the connection between Bob Mars and Adam Peters, connections, I agree with you. I definitely agree with that connection. And Abel Ambrosio, man, said, what's up, man? This is what Wizards player have you been impressed with and who has been a disappointment? Good question. And this is gonna be the last one, guys. I definitely appreciate you guys. Impressed with. It's a tie. I've been Bilal / Denny. I'll say that. Denny has worked on his offensive game. Now, he has things to work on, obviously, but he has definitely put in the time. And Bilal, when as far as offensive side, you're not starting at zero. Now, obviously, the shot, a lot more confidence has to be in that shot, has to be a faster shot. People aren't fearing that shot. But both of them I've been impressed with because they're two young pieces that you could definitely see are going to be good players, man. I definitely think Bilal's going to be a star. And I think that in the right situation, Denny will be a star to a certain degree. Now, all-star, I don't see that right now, respectfully. I definitely see him being a really good above-average starter. And the same with Bilal. But I think that they have impressed. Disappointment, man, you could say Jordan Poole because you expected 20-plus points per game. But I think you're going to see a different player in the second half. I definitely think that. Disappointment, Johnny Davis. And it is not on Johnny Davis. I think it's on all around. To see your 10th overall pick take this trajectory, very disappointing. And I'm not going to sit here and blame anybody in particular. I think it's been a failure all around to a certain degree. But it's just, he has not really played much. It's just, me and Ed touched base on it before, man. It's just it's tough to talk about, man, because he's a young guy. And it hasn't worked out. So I said, I know the last one's going to be the last one, but this is my guy right here, man. Rigo Tone T said, would you put Poole at point or Denny? And I presume you're probably talking about after the deadline. I see a mix. Can Poole be a point guard right now? He's a combo guard, and we know how they roll in DC. So we'll see. Denny definitely needs the ball more in his hands, but I don't see him being a point full time. So appreciate you guys, man. We're going to hit and stop there. 49 minutes, so it's definitely a longer video, man, but definitely appreciate you guys taking your time out of your Friday to rock on me tonight, man. I definitely appreciate you guys again. Our success here in Locked On Wizards has a lot to do with you guys, man. Rocking with us, man. Numbers are going up, and definitely appreciate my guy E. Definitely appreciate you guys, man. So again, everybody have a safe and blessed weekend. Again, we will not be recapping the Spurs game tomorrow night. I will be covering the game, but we will do the recap, man, E, on Sunday for the two games because it's a back-to-back Saturday and Sunday. So definitely look forward to those two games, man. So look for us on Sunday. So again, Appreciate you guys. Everybody have a blessed weekend. Enjoy your Friday. Drink responsibly. I know I will. And so, again, appreciate you guys, man. So, hail to the Wizards and peace. See you guys next time.